Japan, also known as Nippon, Nihon, or the land of the rising sun. Japan is an island country lying off the coast of Asia. It consists of a great string of islands in a northeast, southwest arc that stretches for approximately 1,500 miles or 2,400 kilometers through the western North Pacific Ocean. Nearly the entire land area is taken up by the countries. For main lands, from north to south, these are Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. Honshu is the largest of the four, followed in size by Hokkaido, Kyushu, and Shikoku. In addition, there are numerous smaller islands, the major groups of which are the Ryukyu Nansei Islands, including the island of Okinawa, to the south and west of Kyushu, and the Izu, Bonin, Ogasawara, and Volcano Kazan Islands to the south and east of central Honshu. The government of Japan consists of legislative, executive, and is based on popular sovereignty. The government runs under the framework established by the Constitution of Japan, adopted in 1947. It is a unitary state, containing 47 administrative divisions, with the emperor as its head of state. His role is ceremonial and he has no powers related to government. Instead, it is the cabinet, comprising the ministers of state, and the prime minister, that directs and controls the government and the civil service. The cabinet has the executive power and is formed by the prime minister, who is the head of government. The prime minister is nominated by the National Diet and appointed to office by the emperor. The National Diet is the legislature, the organ of the legislative branch. It is bicameral, consisting of two houses, with the House of Councillors being the upper house and the House of Representatives being the lower house. Its members are directly elected by the people, who are the source of sovereignty. It is defined as the supreme organ of sovereignty in the Constitution. The Supreme Court and other inferior courts make up the judicial branch and have all the judicial powers in the state. It has ultimate judicial authority to interpret the Japanese Constitution and the power of judicial review. They are independent from the executive and the legislative branches. Judges are nominated or appointed by the cabinet and never removed by the executive or the legislature, except during impeachment. The yen is the official currency of Japan. It is the third most traded currency in the foreign exchange market after the United States dollar, US dollar, and the euro. It is also widely used as a third reserve currency after the US dollar and the euro. The New Currency Act of 1871 introduced Japan's modern currency system, with the yen defined as 1.5 grams of gold or 24.26 grams of silver, and divided decimally into 100 sen or 1,000 yen. The yen replaced the previous Tokugawa coinage, as well as the various Hansatsu paper currencies issued by feudal Han. The Bank of Japan was founded in 1882 and given a monopoly on controlling the money supply. Perhaps no other landmark is as synonymous with Japan as the mighty Mount Fuji. Located northeast of Shimizu, Mount Fuji is the highest volcano in Japan, coming in at a towering 12,389 feet tall. In fact, Mount Fuji towers so high over the landscape that it can be seen all the way from Tokyo on a clear day. Mount Fuji is one of Japan's 3 holy mountains, alongside Tateyama and Mount Hakuzen. It has also been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 2013, though its influence and admiration can be traced as far back as the 8th century. The view of Mount Fuji from afar is impressive. Still, there's plenty to see up close and in the foothills, including the Fujisan Sengen Shrine. The national capital, Tokyo, in east-central Honshu, is one of the world's most populous cities. Tokyo, Japan's busy capital, mixes the ultra-modern and the traditional, from neon-lit skyscrapers to historic temples. The Tokyo Tower, officially called Nippon Denpak, Japan Radio Tower, is a communications and observation tower in the Shibaku district of Minato, Tokyo, Japan, built in 1958. At 330.9 meters, it is the second tallest structure in Japan. The structure is an Eiffel Tower-inspired lattice tower that is painted white and international orange to comply with their safety regulations. The tower's main sources of income are tourism and antenna leasing. Over 150 million people have visited the tower. Fudown, a 4-story building directly under the tower, houses museums, restaurants, and shops. Departing from there, guests can visit 2 observation decks. Since its completion in 1958, Tokyo Tower has become a prominent landmark in the city and frequently appears in media set in Tokyo. The culture of Japan has changed greatly over the millennia. From the country's prehistoric Jomon period to its contemporary modern culture, which absorbs influences from Asia and other regions of the world. The ancestry of Japanese people remains unknown, however. There are 2 competing hypotheses that try to explain the lineage of the Japanese people. The first hypothesis proposes a dual-structure model, which Japanese populations are descendants of the indigenous Jomon people and late arrivals of people from the East Eurasian continent, known as the Yao people. Japan's indigenous culture originates primarily from the Yao people, who settled in Japan between 1000 BC and 300 CE. Yao culture spread to the main island of Honshu, mixing with the native Jomon culture. Modern Japanese have an estimated 80% and 20% Jomon ancestry. The second hypothesis posits a tripartite model of genomic origin. This hypothesis proposes that contemporary Japanese people are from 3 distinct ancestral groups: Jomon, Yao, and Kofun, with 13%, 16%, and 71% of genetic ancestry, respectively. During the Kofun period, it is said that migrant groups from China came to Japan and settled on the island, bringing with them various cultural advances and centralized leadership. The migrants who came to Japan during the Kofun period appear to have had ancestry that mainly resembles the ancestry of the Han Chinese population of China. The Jomon people were hunter-gatherers. The Yao people introduced rice cultivation, and the Kofun migrants introduced imperial state formation. Japanese culture was influenced from ancient times to the Middle Ages primarily by multiple Chinese dynasties, with substantial derivation from the Tang dynasty, and to a lesser extent by other Asian countries. For example, one of the scripts for writing in the Japanese language is Chinese characters, but Japanese has no genetic relationship with Chinese. Since the Meiji era, Japan has been primarily influenced by Western countries. The inhabitants of Japan experienced a long period of relative isolation from the outside world for over 220 years, during the Tokugawa shogunate until the arrival of the Black Ships and the Meiji era. Today, the culture of Japan stands as one of the most influential cultures around the world, mainly because of the global reach of its popular culture. In 2021, US News & World Report ranked Japan's cultural influence as the highest in Asia and 5th worldwide. The Japanese people are an East Asian ethnic group, native to the Japanese archipelago. Japanese people constitute 97.9% of the population of the country of Japan. Worldwide, approximately 129 million people are of Japanese descent, making them one of the largest ethnic groups. Approximately 120.5 million Japanese people are residents of Japan, as opposed to the Japanese diaspora. Depending on the context, the term ethnic Japanese may be limited or not to mainland Japanese people, specifically the Yamato, as opposed to Ryukyuan and Ainu people. Recent decades, there has also been an increase in the number of multiracial people with both Japanese and non-Japanese roots, including half-Japanese people. Japan has a rich, colorful culture dating back to the country's prehistoric period known as the Jomon period, between 14,000 and 300 BC. The culture and traditions of Japan are unique because of its island nation geography, as well as its isolation from the outside world during the Tokugawa shogunate regime. Over the years, Japan's culture and traditions have been influenced by other Asian countries, America, and Europe, as well as other natural factors, such as land, natural resources, and seasonal climate. Borrowed ideas from other countries are infused with existing customs to become something distinctly Japanese. Here are some examples of the unique culture and traditions of Japan. Banankai is a Japanese drinking party held at the end of the year. Close friends or groups of co-workers. While Shininkai is the Japanese tradition of welcoming the new year by yet again drinking alcohol. What a fun way to end the year. White Day is celebrated a month after Valentine's Day in Japan. Women and girls usually give their men friends gifts of chocolate as an expression of love, social obligation, or courtesy every 14th of February. On White Day, March 14th, the men return the favor by giving gifts to the ladies such as white chocolate, cookies, or jewelry. Meow-Mary is a Japanese newborn baby's traditional rite of passage. Parent or grandparents bring the child to a Shinto shrine, traditionally 31 days after birth for a boy, and 33 days after birth for a girl. But today, most Meow-Mary are practiced between a month and 100 days after birth. This practice is to show gratitude to the deities for the birth of the child, as well as to request a shrine priest to say a prayer for the baby's health and happiness. Hanami, or flower viewing, is the Japanese custom of enjoying the transient beauty of the sakura flowers hana. The cherry blossom forecast is announced by the Japan Weather Bureau and usually begins in early March to early May, with schedules that vary depending on the area. There's always something new and exciting to experience in Japan. Anime is hand-drawn and computer-generated animation, originating from Japan, outside of Japan, and in English. Anime refers specifically to animation produced in Japan. However, in Japan and in Japanese, anime, a term derived from a shortening, the English word animation, describes all animated works, regardless of style or origin. Animation produced outside of Japan with similar style to Japanese animation is commonly referred to as anime-influenced animation. The earliest commercial Japanese animations date to 1917. A characteristic art style emerged in the 1960s with the works of cartoonist Osamu Tezuka and spread in following decades, developing a large domestic audience. Anime is distributed theatrically through television broadcasts, directly to home media, and over the internet. In addition to original works, anime are often adaptations of Japanese comics, like novels or video games. It is classified into numerous genres, targeting various broad and niche audiences. Anime is a diverse medium with distinctive production methods that have adapted in response to emergent technologies. It combines graphic art, characterization, cinematography, and other forms of imaginative and individualistic techniques. Compared to Western animation, anime production generally focuses less on movement and more on the detail of settings and use of camera effects such as panning, zooming, and angle shots. Diverse art styles are used, and character proportions and features can be quite varied, with a common characteristic feature being large and emotive eyes. The anime industry consists of over 430 production companies, including major studios such as Studio Ghibli, Kyoto Animation, K-Bones, Sunrise, Production-IG, Ufotable, Mappa, Wit Studio, Comics Wave Films, Toei Animation, Madhouse, and lastly, TMS Entertainment. Since the 1980s, the medium has also seen widespread international success with the rise of foreign dubbed, subtitled programming, and since the 2010s, it's increasing distribution through streaming services and a widening demographic embrace of anime culture, both within Japan and worldwide. As of 2016, Japanese animation accounted for 60% of the world's animated television shows. Due to anime's increased popularity in recent years, large number of celebrities such as Elon Musk, BTS, and Ariana Grande have come out as anime fans.